Good morning. Can anybody hear me?
Good morning, Chairperson.
Morning, Shireen. Can you get to see if honorable members are here? Morning, Honorable Abuskachne.
Morning, Chair.
Good morning, Chair.
Honorable Mtolo.
Morning, Chair.
Morning. Honorable Van Sale has already indicated she's around, so we count her in. Hi, welcome. I'm trying to look at the quorum for the meeting. All right, I'm going to ask the Secretariat to just check on the other members so we can just be certain when we do the apologies. But at this point, may I request that we start the meeting? And I'm going to request all of us to observe the moment of silent prayer and meditation. Thank you. May I request that we table the agenda? Can I have a mover for adoption? Straightforward.
I propose adoption, Chair.
Thank you. Seconder? Thank you very much. I'm going to switch off my camera. I'm not sure whether it's my system or anybody else's that's making it difficult to hear. So let me take this opportunity then to welcome all the members of the Portfolio Committee. Let me welcome all the delegations that are here to make representation in relation to the Intergovernmental Monitoring Support and Interventions Bill, which is Bill 11 of 2025. The idea is that we're going to receive the submissions from the particular stakeholders and we can have a bit of discussion afterwards, but mainly this is part of the process, which is a statutory provision to ensure that we engage communities, stakeholders who have comments to make about the bill that's being processed. Right now, the bill is in the process of committee to manage. So we are therefore going to take these presentations. We will keep to the time that's allocated. If you look at the program, we'll give everyone up to it's about 15. The first one will be about, well, it's actually about 10 minutes to take us through. And if members wish to raise questions of clarity, you should be able to do that at the end. But as we speak, we are going to just take one after the other. It's a 10 minutes presentation for each one of those because we have actually received and read the presentation. We just need to give the opportunity to highlight the point they feel that they need to be highlighted. So that is how we're going to follow it right till the end. At the end, we will then If you wish to ask questions or if you want to make comments for as honorable members, you are welcome to do that. But for purposes of what we are doing, all of this will be integrated in all the inputs that will come as we consolidate our engagement reports from the various stakeholders. So we will then start at this point by welcoming the South African Human Rights Commission. If you could just show your face, introduce your team, then you could cut off the video if you've got challenges with the signal. But we need to see the team when you start, and then we can proceed after that. Thank you very much. We give to the opportunity to the South African Human Rights Commission. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Honorable Chair. Good morning, Honorable Members. My name is Henk Boshoff. I'm a Commissioner with the South African Human Rights Commission, and I will be presenting a short summary of the recommendations we have made to the Portfolio Committee. I will then turn off my video as requested. Honorable Chair, I'm accompanied by Mr. Pismo Mukhodi, who is a research advisor at the Human Rights Commission. I don't know if he has access to flight our presentation, but if he has, he can just flight the presentation.
Shireen, please assist the team so that we can have ease of management of these slides.
Chairperson, we provided access to everybody to flight the presentations. Thank you.
Dr. Boshoff, your team can go ahead.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Mr. Mukhodi I see he's busy. There it is. Honorable Chair, I have 10 minutes, so I'm intending to stick to the time limit that was provided to the Commission, and I'm going to request Mr. Mukhodi to move to slide 5. Now, Chair, the reason why I want to deal with this specific slide is just to all yourself, Honorable Chair, and the members, the honorable members are familiar with the mandate of the Human Rights Commission. So I'm not going to deal with that, but it's important that with regards to today's engagement, I just also refer to Section 13 of the South African Human Rights Commission Act. The one specific subsection empowers the Human Rights Commission to review government policies relating to human rights and also to make recommendations. And we are also empowered in terms of our legislation, Honorable Chair, to recommend to Parliament or any other legislature the adoption of new legislation which will promote respect for human rights and culture of human rights. So we've been doing this on a continuous basis, Chair, and we thank you very much for the opportunity to again make inputs to this portfolio committee. Chair, then I will move to slide 6. Honorable Chair, I'm just going to deal in the slides that we have sent to the committee secretary. We've also indicated the specific clauses that we support and also the reasons for supporting those clauses. But I'm just going to deal with some recommendations we have made to strengthen the bill. And the first one, Honorable Chair, is clause 6.2 that deals with the introduction of an early warning monitoring and reporting system. And what we would like to recommend as the South African Human Rights Commission is that the monitoring and reporting system should incorporate information from institutions such as the Human Rights Commission and the Auditor General. The reports of these institutions, such as audit reports, investigative reports, provide vital objective information, which will really assist processes going forward. The Human Rights Commission over the last 2 years, Honourable Chair, has conducted many inquiries, local government service delivery inquiries, investigative inquiries, subpoena hearings. And you are aware, I know that you visited the Free State Province last year, and that was after we also conducted an inquiry. We do think that by considering our reports, it will really assist the process to ensure that these early monitoring systems are effective. Then, Honourable Chair, we can move to slide 8, dealing with clause 36. And here we are recommending that time frames should be built into this clause, particularly the time frame within which the relevant MEC must approve or disapprove the request for support. We have seen in many provinces, Honourable Chair, that it takes a long time for intervention to take place. Recently, and I'm referring to November last year, we also released an investigative report into service delivery in the Northwest, and there we also said that when there was a total collapse of local government in the Northwest, in our view, the provincial government was absent, and we want timeframes to be built in to ensure that the MEC deals with the request for support as soon as possible. And then 38 is a similar provision, Honourable Chair, where we're also requesting for timeframes to be considered. Then Honourable Chair, we move on to clause 49 on slide 9. We welcome the clause as it empowers the provincial executive during an intervention to suspend an official who is obstructive to the implementation of the intervention. However, the South African Human Rights Commission cautions that the power of the provincial executive to suspend an official should not be unbridled and open to abuse. Measures should be included to check the utilization of powers of suspension to avoid such powers being abused. So we would like the possibility of the abuse of powers to be considered and addressed. Thank you, Chair. Then we move on to slide 10, clause 54. Here we welcome the requirement for a notice of intervention to be served on the municipality within 14 days after the provincial executive has taken a decision. But Chair, what we are also recommending is that beyond the publication of the notice in the Government Gazette, the notice of intervention should also be published in the most read and widely circulating newspaper in the province to ensure that the community and key stakeholders are not left behind. Remember, Honourable Chair, all communities...
Chair, I don't know if it's on my side. I don't in the presentation.
Sorry, what the issue? Honorable Kalipi.
May I proceed, Chair?
I think, Chair, the problem is on her side because we can hear the presenter.
Okay, Sherin, can we just check if all these slides have been circulated to the members? We'll attend to that, Honorable Kalipi. Please proceed, Dr. Boshoff.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. So, Chair, we know that poor service delivery or local government service delivery affects each and every one of us, all communities, and we do feel that it's important to publish information relating to interventions, not only in a government gazette, but also in the most read and widely circulating newspaper in the province. Then if we move on to slide 11, and specifically clause 59 of the bill, we are recommending, Honourable Chair, that further to the notice of termination, and that would be the termination of the intervention, being published in the Provincial Gazette, it should again be published in the most read and widely circulating newspaper in the province, again for the reason that I've just explained. Then we can move to slide 13, clause 66. We welcome the inclusion of the requirement for a list of persons approved by the Minister to serve as an administrator, a national or provincial executive representative. And here, Honourable Chair, we are recommending that the clause be amended to include a requirement for the list of persons approved to serve in that role to be subjected to comments by members of the public in that province. And the reason we are saying this, Chair, we have seen in many provinces where there has been provincial intervention and where administrators have been appointed, these administrators are not necessarily supported by the municipal councillors. They are not necessarily supported by community members, and in many cases, these administrators then get deployed, for a lack of a better word, to another municipality, another struggling municipality. So you are taking an administrator that has failed in one municipality to a municipality that is struggling, and within a couple of months, you find that the administrator is again not accepted by municipal councils and communities. So here we are recommending that the persons be subjected to comments by members of the public in that province. Then, with regards to the inputs, the last input on slide 14, clause 72, we again welcome the inclusion of the need for a report to be prepared by the administrator, the national or provincial executive, but we are recommending that the clause should also provide that the administrator, national or provincial executive representative must provide regular report backs, such as monthly reports to communities. We emphasize, Chair, provide regular report backs, such as monthly reports to communities. And again, Chair, service delivery, as we know, is perhaps not at the level that we all want it to be. And I think that is the least we can do to provide communities with regular updates on progress that has been made, and also invite the comments of and input of our communities. On that note, I would like to thank the Portfolio Committee for the opportunity to present to the Portfolio Committee this morning, and we are requesting that you then consider the inputs made by the South African Human Rights Commission. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Dr. Boshoff. We will deal with the comments and questions of clarity later on. Shireen, can we get the next one? Just put the agenda up again. So at this point, we'll invite the Western Cape Department of Local Government. If we can just have the team show your faces and then do introductions and then proceed. Thank you very much. You got 10 minutes.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Kamal McCann, Director Municipal Governance at the Department of Local Government, Western Cape. I'm joined by Ms. Amanda Tor, who's the State Law Advisor in the Department of the Premier. Chair, I just wanted to indicate to the committee is that, I mean, we provided extensive comments on the bill on the 4th of November 2025. So our oral submissions are obviously just taking extracts of those comments, but we request that the committee read these oral submissions together with the extensive comments that we've provided on the 4th of 11, 2025. I may just switch my camera off, Chair.
You're welcome. Please proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, there were serious constitutional and practical concerns that was raised in the comments by the Western Cape government regarding and pertaining to the draft bill. One of those is the overlap between the draft bill and the Local Government Municipal Finance Management Act. So, Clause 2.2 of the draft bill provides that the provisions of this Act apply to interventions in terms of Section 100 of the Constitution, interventions in terms of Section 139 of the Constitution, and interventions in terms of Section 139, 4 and 5 of the Constitution, only to the extent that those provisions are consistent with Chapter 13 of the Municipal Finance Management Act. The comments we've submitted in relation to this particular clause, this clause is likely to give rise to interpretation challenges and confusion as to what the actual requirements are in relation to discretionary financial intervention under 139.1 and interventions under 139.4 and 5 of the Constitution. The comment was also made that the provisions of the bill which relate to interventions under Section 139.4 and 5 of the Constitution should be removed from the draft bill. The viability of the draft bill being used in conjunction with the provisions of the MFMA in relation to Section 139.1 interventions must also be comprehensively assessed prior to the further processing of the bill. Chair, just the exercise of functions, we've commented on this extensively as well, and the exercise of functions conferred on the national and provincial executive. So clause 4.1 and 4.2 of the bill provides that the national executive must exercise powers and perform duties and functions in relating to the national and provincial interventions in terms of this Act. The national executive may delegate to the National Coordinating Committee or to any national executive member any of the powers, duties, or functions of the national executive in terms of the provisions of this Act, including the power to implement a national intervention. It must be made explicit that the power to approve an intervention under Clause 13.1 may not be delegated by the national executive, and this is the averment that we've made from the Western Cape. The delegation provision in Clause 4.1 and the manner in which powers and duties are conferred on functionaries in respect of national interventions in provinces must be revised. If retained in their current form, they are likely to give rise to major interpretation as well as implementation problems. It is recommended that either the delegation provision be retained with the exclusion of the power to approve an intervention, and the powers are conferred on the national executive in the relevant provision of the bill, or the delegation provision be omitted. In both cases, the bill must be revised to make it clear as to which functionary assumes an obligation in a particular case, and to remove the possibility of overlap and contradictory provisions which lead to the interpretation and implementation problems. Insofar as Clause 4.2 purports to provide for the delegation of the power to approve a particular intervention under Section 100, this is constitutionally impermissible, insofar as a statute cannot confer a power on a member of the national executive or other functionary greater than that which the Constitution affords. Section 100 of the Constitution expressly confers the power to intervene in the province on the national executive, and the Constitution does not provide for or contemplate an assignment or delegation of this power. Further submissions we wanted to highlight was relating to Clause 17, which we commented and indicated is confusing and vague. in a manner in which it confers powers on specified functionaries, where there is an assumption of responsibility for an executive obligation. The Clause 17.1 states that if the national executive implements an intervention step, it may appoint either a national executive representative or a national department or public entity to fulfill the executive obligation on its behalf. However, 17.2 provides that any decision by the National Coordinating Committee to appoint a national executive representative in terms of subsection 1A, or to appoint a national department or a national public entity in terms of subsection 1B, must be taken in consultation with the national executive member responsible for the concurrent functional area in which the executive obligation fails. Furthermore, Clause 17 of the bill appears to confer on both the national executive and the national executive member the power to delegate the same functions at the same time. This is contradictory and makes no sense. It is also not clear in this clause what functionary assumes the relevant powers, i.e. the national executive representative, the national department, the national public entity, or the national executive member. Further comments that we've made is pertaining to clause 5.1 and 5.2, which stipulates that the provincial executive must exercise powers and performs duties and functions in terms of this Act. And in 5.2 stipulates the provincial executive may delegate to the MEC responsible for local government any powers, duties, or functions of the provincial executive in terms of the provisions of this Act, including the power to impose an intervention in terms of Section 42(2)(a), B, C, or F. It also delegates to the MEC responsible for finance any of the powers, duties, and functions of the provincial executive in terms of the bill, including the power to impose an intervention in terms of Section 42(2)(d) or F, or Section 139(4) or 5. The provincial executive, in terms of clause 5.2, may further delegate to the provincial coordinating committee any of the powers, duties, or functions of the provincial executive. In our view, and the comments that we submitted, which was also vetted legally by our Department of the Premier, the Legal Services Department, and the extensive vetting thereof was done by Mr. Mandator. So if there are any questions, you may elaborate on it. But the conclusions reached that this provision is constitutionally impermissible, insofar as the statute cannot confer powers on a member of a provincial executive committee or other functionary greater than that which the Constitution affords. Section 139 of the Constitution confers the power to intervene in a municipality on the provincial executive, and the Constitution does not provide for or contemplate an assignment or delegation of this power. Furthermore, Section 139(8) provides that national legislation may regulate the implementation of the section, including the process established by the section. And we just want to indicate that, the intervention steps the MEC may take, which are listed in clause 42(2), these intervention steps cannot be separated from the decision to intervene under Section 139(a), B, or C, or Section 139(4) or 5 of the Constitution. It is hence constitutionally impermissible for the power to determine same to be allocated to the relevant MEC as provided for in this clause. Just on the topic of suspension of officials, the bill in respect of both national interventions in provinces and provincial interventions in municipalities authorizes the suspension of an official and the designation of another person to perform the tasks of that official. These provisions are overbroad in our view, insofar as they authorize suspension in circumstances where the criteria in Section 100B or 139(1)(b) of the Constitution are not met. Where these criteria are not met, the powers of the national and provincial executives respectively are limited to non-intrusive measures. The bill should hence clearly limit the power to suspend officials to the circumstances that is contemplated in Section 101(b), and 139(1)(b) of the Constitution. And this has also been affirmed by the Constitutional Court in the certification of the amended text of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, which was a case that appeared before the Concord. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Khan. That was the Western Cape Local Government Department. Thank you. We've received your submission. Let's take the next one. Youth Policy Lab South Africa. We invite the delegation to show themselves.
Good morning, Chair.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Good, thank you. I don't know if I'm visible that side.
You are visible. Let's see your other members. Are you alone?
No, they're here. I have the committee here with me. I don't know if they can also turn on their screens.
Just to show their presence, and then you proceed.
Okay.
Welcome.
Okay. Thank you so much, Chair.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Okay, my name is, let me just start by greeting you, Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee, the honorable members of Parliament, and the Republic joining us. It's a great joy to be with you, and thank you very much for the kind welcome. I'm Sanele Nkosi, Director for Local Governance Support and Development for the Youth Policy Lab. So let me start by saying that, Chair, by this age of our democracy, our spheres of government should be in their utopian sphere within the Republic. But we find ourselves in a very difficult position to reach the utopian state of our spheres, with the focus being on local government, of course. So by virtue of the local government being the closest sphere to the people, it should be the center of excellence to ensure that not only should the sphere be regulated, but be assisted as well. Now that explains the existence of the bill. As far as the bill is concerned, I believe it is of paramount importance to consider what is being regulated. I will then categorize what the bill aims to achieve, which is also the core strength of the existence of the bill. So the first strength is the monitoring and early warnings, which then establishes the system to track performance of provincial and municipal governance. The second strength is the targeted support. Before the takeover, both national and provincial spheres are mandated to assist. The third strength is the intervention process, which then provides the step-by-step legal procedures for intervention. The last one will be the accountability and consequence management, which then regulates how officials can be suspended during the intervention. So as the youth-led organization, we have major concerns. However, we also have recommendations of mitigation. So the first concern lies with independence. There's danger of political misuse where interventions serve as factional disputes, especially in coalition councils. So how we can go about that is to create an impartial oversight body or office of standard to ensure triggers are based on objective data. The second one is the consultation. There are limitations of traditional leaders and people with disabilities in the draft of the framework. So how we go about that is clearly defining the role of traditional leaders and require community participation in intervention processes. The third category of concern is the current provisions of the bill only suspends accounting officers, but overlook political leaders who may drive the failures. So how we go about that is that we expand the consequent management to include mayors and councillors as well, not just administrative officials. And then we move to the funding part. So there is a risk of unfunded mandates, which is still in persistence. So whereby small municipalities face structural funding weaknesses. So the best way to mitigate this is to align with the revised local government funding model to guarantee sustainable financial support. So the last area of concern is transparency. Monitoring outcomes and support plans are often withheld from the public. So we then recommend that publication of intervention strategies and progress in the government. There should be publication of intervention strategies and progress in government gazette and local newspapers. So with the bill itself, we have areas of concern, which lies with section 13 and 42, which speaks to independence and political misuse. So amendments should be made or should include a mandatory independent assessment phase, whereby triggers should be tied to objective performance indicators as defined in section 5 of the bill. The second section of concern is section 25 and 56, which then speaks of consultation, especially with traditional leaders. So amendment should be made to expand the list of parties that must be notified and consulted to include the national and provincial houses of traditional and Khoisan leaders. The third section is section 55, which speaks to municipal assistance. The provisions requiring that the intervention team include the experts in inclusive service delivery to ensure that the rights of persons with disabilities are maintained. And then we further move to section 22, 52, and 61, which is the core of the existence of this bill. Speaking of accountability, especially political leaders and financial accountability. So currently, these focus on accounting officers, which includes your director generals, city managers, municipal managers. So amendments should include consequence management for executive authority as well. So your MECs and mayors, councillors as well. And then we further move to section 38 and 37, which speaks of funding and kinds of support. So amendments should clarify that support is not merely technical, but include financial recovery strategies that align with DORA. We then move to section 26 and 56, which speaks of transparency, submission of information. So amendments to require that all reports submitted to the NCOP must be published or on a publicly accessible national portal within 7 days. The last section of concern is the criminalization, which deals with offenses. This is the specific section where penalties for obstruction are listed. Amendments here could improve that. What is it that constitutes the willful hindrance of for you to be considered as someone who has created or made offense? So how best can we go about the implementation of this consideration? Institutional and structural requirements. We recommend that there should be an establishment of the Office of Standard and Compliance. As a key implementation step is the creation of this office under the Public Administration Management Act to handle the actual monitoring and evaluation. We further recommend that there should be a national coordinating committee, which will then synchronize. Implementation on its own requires the synchronization of the Minister of Culture, the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Public Services and Administration to ensure that interventions aren't just administrative, but also financially and legally sound. The last recommendation is the administrator talent pool. there is a critical need for a vetted pool of qualified administrators. As historically, intervention failed because administrators lacked the specific technical or financial skills needed for a specific municipal failure. And with that, I would like to thank you, Chair, and that's our submission as the Youth Policy Lab of South Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Nkosi. That was clear and succinct. That's Youth Policy Lab South Africa. May I request the Uprising Foundation to come forth? You can show your face and introduce your team and take us through your submission. We can see you, we can't hear you. You're muted.
Am I audible?
You are audible now.
Okay.
Introduce your team and then proceed.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Chairperson. My name is Tato Marisha, and I am on behalf of Uprising Foundation. I'm presently alone at the moment. My other team are busy with other matters at the field. May I now close the screen and carry on?
Proceed.
Thank you. Good morning, Chairperson, honorable members of the Portfolio Committee, and all stakeholders present. My name is Tato Marisha, presenting the Uprising Foundation. We appreciate the opportunity to make a submission on the Intergovernmental Monitoring Support and Interventions Bill. Our submission is based on a factual assessment of the bill and focuses on strengthening its effectiveness in improving governance and service delivery outcomes. Uprising Foundation supports the bill. This support is based on the fact that the bill introduces long overdue legislative clarity and procedural consistency in the implementation of Section 100 and 139 of the Constitution. It also reflects a clear policy shift from reactive intervention to preventative governance, which is necessary given the persistent governance failures observed across provinces and municipalities. Honorable members, it is a matter of record that several municipalities have repeatedly failed to meet the basic service delivery obligations. Financial mismanagement and audit failures persist across multiple institutions. Interventions in terms of Sections 100 and 139 have not consistently produced sustainable outcomes. So these facts demonstrate that the existing system has been inconsistent in application, reactive rather than preventative, weak in accountability mechanisms. So, honorable members, this bill is therefore necessary. The bill introduces three critical improvements. First, it formalizes early warning monitoring systems, which allow government to detect risk before failure occurs. Secondly, it establishes structured support mechanisms, ensuring that assistance is provided before escalation. Third, it standardizes interventions processes, including directives, assumptions of responsibility, and oversight procedures. Honorable members, these are important reforms that align with the constitutional principles of cooperative governance and capacity building. We have noted 5 issues in the bill. However, we have the recommendations. The bill does not prescribe minimum national early warning indicators. This creates a factual risk. Different provinces and municipalities may apply inconsistent standards. Monitoring outcomes may not be comparable or reliable. In practice, this weakens the effectiveness of the systems. Honorable members, our recommendation is minimum national indicators be prescribed through regulation. In addition, evidence shows that communities and civil society organizations are often the first to detect service delivery failures. Therefore, these actors should be formally recognized as supplementary sources of early warning information. Our next issue is onto administrators and interventions powers. This bill allows the appointment of administrators and executive representative with significant executive authority. This includes decision-making powers over critical governance functions. The function's concern is that without clear safeguards, there is a risk of politics. There is also a risk of weak accountability. So our recommendation is that prescribed clear competency and independence criteria, include conflict of interest provision, require mandatory public reporting with measurable indicators, enforce a skill transfer and exit strategy. This ensures that interventions are temporary, effective, and institution building rather than dependency creating. Our third issue is onto accountability and transparency. Evidence in governance practice shows that transparency strengthens accountability. Currently, interventions processes are not always accessible to the public. So, honorable members, our recommendation is that interventions report be made publicly accessible, except where legally restricted. Parliament be empowered to request independent evaluation of long-running interventions. So communities be formally informed of objectives, duration, and expected outcomes. This improves public trust, democratic oversight. Our fourth issue is on consequence management. The bill, honorable members, introduces consequence management, which is a positive development. However, historically, officials responsible for governance failures have not always been held accountable. So our recommendation is that consequence management must be clearly linked to disciplinary, civil, and criminal processes aligned with existing financial legislation frameworks. So in addition, lessons from interventions should be consolidated into an annual national review report. So this ensures accountability and institutional learning. Our fifth issue is onto financial sustainability. Honorable members, interventions carry significant financial costs, including administrative costs, personnel deployment, operational support. Without proper oversight, this may strain public finances, affect service delivery in other areas. So, honorable members, our recommendation is that intervention costs be clearly budgeted and disclosed. Treasury oversight be strengthened. So, honorable members, in conclusion, the bill represents a necessary progressive reform. It provides a framework that improves monitoring, strengthens support mechanism, clarify interventions processes. However, its effectiveness will depend on standardization, strong safeguards, transparency, accountability, financial discipline. So with these refinements, the bill can significantly strengthen state capacity, improve service delivery, reduce the need for repeated interventions. So with that, I thank the committee for the opportunity to contribute to this important legislative process. We trust that these recommendations will assist in strengthening the bill. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Madisha, for that submission. May we then take the next one, which will be the Eastern Cape COCTA Department. Please proceed. Eastern Cape
Thank you very
COCTA.
much. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. My name is, I'm putting a video on. I hope that I am visible.
You are visible.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. My name is Donia Taylor. I am with Mr. Blaki, who's the Chief Director, Municipal Development and Planning. I'm with Ms. Dunga, who's the Director in the Office of the HOD, Mr. Makungu, who is a Director Legal Services, as well as Ms. McMaster, who's the Director IGR, and Mr. Kokozela, who's the Director Municipal Development and Planning. Good morning, honorable members. I am now loading the presentation and the oral submission, sharing the screen. I must also indicate upfront that I am much more familiar with Microsoft Teams, and I may take just a while to upload, as I am not that much familiar with Zoom. I hope that the presentation is visible so that I can proceed.
Yes, proceed, please.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Of course, the purpose of our submission is to provide the oral presentation to the National Portfolio of COCTA, as well as make some key recommendations. Here we are just giving an outline and a preface of our understanding of the bill, what it seeks to achieve, and I want to believe that all the honorable members and the colleagues in the platform are aware of the intention of the bill and what the bill seeks to fix. Our submission starts on Chapter 1 on the exercise of powers, duties, and functions of the Provincial Executive on Section 139 intervention. We understand that this provision is coming from the Constitution, Section 139 regime, and of course on Section 139.5 on FRP, it says that the province may delegate the MEC or the MEC for local government or the MEC for finance. Our experience is that for the longest time in the Eastern Cape province, this has been delegated to MEC of local government, and as in when it is delegated to the MEC of local government or to COCTA, then the support is mostly expected to come from COCTA as well as the resources, and we are appealing and requesting that it be considered that this function of Section 139 be delegated only to the MEC of Finance, and then we know that the resources then will come from the MEC of Finance and supported by COCTA, especially on Section 1395. That is our submission, Honorable Chair. Then on Chapter 2, on the national and provincial support for municipalities, which is in Section 8, subsection 1, we are making a comment that it has been proven from our experience that the municipalities will always require a multidisciplinary team, and sending one administrator through Section 131B has proven difficult to operate alone, as the honorable members will be aware that you send an administrator, and of course there are Section 154, 156 managers, and of course all the support is there, and the administrator remains alone. So we are saying that we hope that the bill can make provision for the administrator to go there in a multidisciplinary force. Then under Part 1, determining whether the intervention is appropriate on the national interventions in provinces, and of course Section 11, subsection 1, if the province does not or cannot fulfill an executive obligation in terms of the constitution or legislations, that is our comment is that this section makes provision for the National Coordinating Committee to notify the province in writing, and of course for the intention of Section 100, and the province must respond in writing. And we are saying, what if the province is not responding in writing? Rather let the bill be upfront and give a clear time frame there. Then on the Chapter 3, same on the national executive implementation of the intervention, there is that provision under subsection Section 13, subsection 2B, that the national executive may appoint a person in terms of Section 69, and our observation and comment is that sometimes there is a lack of political will when those representatives have been appointed, and we are drawing, of course, the experience from the interventions in the municipalities, and we are, of course, making a proposed provision there to say there need to be a support and more additions and strengthening of that provision, so that there could be no resistance to that support or intervention when it is made. And then on Chapter 3, on the National Coordinating Committee to appoint the executive representative, and of course that subsection 1B makes a provision that there must be consultation with the national executive member, and we are in our comments requesting and observing that there could be more other key stakeholders that could be consulted when such an intervention is going to be made, and therefore we request that that provision of the bill may seek to extend the number of stakeholders or the category of stakeholders that may be consulted on that intervention. And then under Chapter 3, Part 7, the notice of intervention, upon the approval of an intervention of Section 11, that provision there and those clauses, our comment, we are saying that the notice of the intervention often land in wrong hands and get published or leaked in the media before even it reached the municipalities. So I wish that in the provision there could be a regulation, because we think that is a process issue, it could be on the regulations to say the communication and the approval of the intervention could also be made through a formal registered mail to give that notice and intention, just to avoid speculation in the media and that kind of negative publicity. That is our submission. Under Chapter 5, Section 40, whenever the MEC is alerted to adverse situation in the municipalities that signals a failure of the municipality to fulfill the executive obligations, the MEC considers a provincial intervention. The MEC may, before the intervention, and our comment is that may gives an option, and yet that provision and that clause is very serious, and we think that may can be substituted with must, so as to make sure that we fully commit the MEC to implement subsection A to make the determination contemplated in this section. Following that same chapter and same section, but subsection 4, the provincial executive must give the relevant municipality an opportunity to comment on the appropriate steps to be taken by the provincial executive prior to invoking of the intended intervention. We are saying there how we wish as well that there could be a time frame given when a municipality is requested to comment and given an opportunity to comment on the appropriate intervention that will be made, so that the municipality does not take a long time to give those comments. So that is our provision, or that be considered in the regulations. There are, Honorable Chair, a number of recommendations that we are saying they could be process related. Maybe the bill must consider that there will be regulations just to outline process issues. Under Section 35, subsection 4, it reads as follows: that the national and provincial government must monitor municipalities in terms of Section 10 of the Municipal Systems Act. And our comment there is that the national and on the national and provincial government that must monitor municipalities in terms of this section. Our submission is that how we wish that there could be a standardized electronic monitoring system in terms of looking into the performance of the municipalities, whether it is indeed implementing the interventions, so that there could be a dashboard. Both national, provincial sector departments can be able to monitor and observe the performance, and that of course could also be considered and put in the regulations. We also, in our citations and observations, is that the municipalities must have under Section 35 subsection 2, that municipalities must have an early warning monitoring and reporting system to alert itself, the relevant province and the minister of the impending non-fulfillment. Our comment is that the province support the early warnings and the proactive monitoring in municipalities, and that may introduce a clause mandating the systematic analysis of Section 71 and Section 72 of the MFMA reports along other risk indicators, so that there could be a comprehensive look into the monitoring in terms of the early warning systems, and looking and using those risk indicators and performance under Section 71 and Section 72 MFMA reports, or this be considered and put in the details within the regulations supporting this bill or act. Under section 44, subsection 2, the bill reads as follows: the provincial executive may, in terms of subsection 1A, designate a district municipality, a national department, or a national public entity as a consultant for municipality. The section, of course, as it says that it may, but we have observed largely in the province that in some municipalities, the districts are not fully equipped. Some of the local municipalities are even performing much more better than the districts themselves, and the districts may not have the competencies. And we are making a provision that there could be an addition to that provision at the end to say, of course, if such entity competencies are adequate for it to support the municipality. Then on section 52, subsection 4, the bill reads as follows: the person referred to in section 60 and 93 of the MFMA ceases for the duration of the intervention to be an accounting officer. And I think that it's what we are also supporting, and that is for the purposes of the intervention. And we are also making an additional insert to say the bill should also stipulate what happens to the employment contract of that section 54, of those section 54 and section 56 managers in the meantime, whilst there is an administrator. At the concluding remarks, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members, are just a summary, just to say what is our conclusion and what are our remarks, and of course the reliance on section 139 as a reactive intervention tends to follow crisis rather than to prevent it, and I think that's what the bill seeks to also address. And I think we have also touched on section 71 and section 72 reports as early warning systems to be integrated, and those indicators be included. The exit strategies for the interventions must be mandatory, and the bill must also be clear on that. And we are also indicating that the municipalities shouldn't stay under administrators for a long time. There must be exit plans, exit strategies, reporting systems, and much more of an intergovernmental approach. And of course, we think that that's where the district development model kicks in, where the national, provincial, and local champions must always, from time to time, conduct their oversight and support. The issue of repeated interventions, I think they have been mentioned by the colleagues and leadership before me. And of course, the bill must seek to address the resistance and the obstructions and the non-cooperation to section 139, that the situation of ill-equipped provincial departments must also be addressed. Sometimes that we find that the province is not well equipped with the resources, with the deployment of personnel, and when we invoke section 139 regime. Avoid the interventions that are reactive in nature, prohibit interventions with no adequate resources allocations, and change the deployment of one administrator into a team of experts or multidisciplinary team, as we are saying that no single departments can work and make an impact on section 139 doctrine. Some municipalities have worsened since the interventions. That is our oral submission. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair and members.
Thank you very much to the Eastern Cape Department of Cooperative for your submission. Let's request now the City of Cape Town to give us the submission. City of Cape Town, if you can just introduce yourself and your delegation.
Good morning, Honourable Chairperson, and to the Honourable members who form part of this portfolio committee. My name is Xanthia Limburg. I am a councillor at the City of Cape Town. Firstly, just to say thank you for the invitation to make a formal written submission to the Committee on the Intergovernmental Monitoring Support and Interventions Bill. And we would also like to just extend our appreciation for the further opportunity to make an oral submission. And I will be submitting the following comments on behalf of the City of Cape Town. I do not have a formal presentation, Chairperson, but I will speak through the comments that we have submitted as a municipality. With that, I'll proceed and I'll switch off my camera.
Proceed.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, I will commence with just making initially general comments and then move into specific reflections on certain sections within the draft bill. To start off, Chairperson, Section 139 of the Constitution only contemplates intervention in a municipality by the National Executive in terms of subsection 7 if a provincial executive cannot or does not adequately exercise the powers or perform the functions referred to in subsection 4 or 5. It is the City of Cape Town's view, Chairperson, that the bill is ambiguous in its interpretation of Section 1397, and we believe this should be tightened up as indicated in the specific comments, which I will reflect on in a few moments, to ensure that it is far more clear and that the prerogative to consider an intervention in a municipality is with the relevant province in the first instance and subject to monitoring, oversight and support by the National Executive, the National Council of Provinces, as well as the provincial legislature. Furthermore, Chairperson, a significant question arises as to whether the existing layers of oversight are sufficient or if the existing reporting requirements already in place would be more sufficient to determine how local governments are actually performing. Moving on, Chairperson, the City of Cape Town is also of the view that dispute resolution is not factored into the draft bill. A municipality or province deemed to be needing targeted assistance must be able to challenge such imposed support if it is not adequately evidenced. And so we would like to recommend that an arbitrator process of some sort be incorporated into the bill. National and provincial expectations, Chairperson, of local government are becoming increasingly more demanding. For example, the inclusion of evidence in the financial system of non-compliance is a concern because loading systems with such evidence is increasing storage capacity, and this comes at a great cost, as many who have been in municipalities may be aware of, as well as writing system customizations. These are all costly additional budgetary burdens that municipalities will need to carry, and these requirements must be subject to consultation and budgetary contributions. Past practices, Chairperson, have seen that administrators being tasked with roles, but they themselves are under a cloud. For example, we've seen in the media many instances reflected where administrators have been known to leave local government due to disciplinary action, or they've taken a municipality to the CCMA. We ask that due consideration be given, Chairperson, that such individuals who are tasked with the role of administrators and tasked with financial recovery ensure that they are suitable to fulfill those roles, and that there should be adequate and clear criteria for administrators provided in the bill. Chairperson, those are my general remarks, and I'd like to now move on to more specific comments. Starting on page 11, Chair, Chapter 2, Section 8.6. This section is titled Requests by Province in Need of Support. And here, Chairperson, I'd like to reflect on the text, particularly subsection 6, which states the relevant Premier may submit the request for additional support to the President if the relevant national executive member does not respond by the end of the period referred to in subsection 4. Our submission here as the City of Cape Town Chairperson is that this subsection addresses a failure to respond but does not actually address the scenario where a national executive member declines the request. And we would request that consideration be given to expanding this section to accommodate a potential appeal to the President in this scenario. And such an amendment would also require that the decision taken in terms of subsection 4 be communicated timeously to the applicant with very clear reasons as well. Moving on then, Chairperson, page 12, Chapter 3, Section 11.3. And here the section is titled Determining Whether Intervention is Appropriate. We'd like to reflect on the entire section, Chairperson. And our specific comments here, Chairperson, is before making a recommendation to the National Executive, the National Coordinating Committee should invite the affected province with reasonable notice to respond to the notice of intention to impose a national intervention as per subsection 40.4 with respect to provincial interventions in municipalities. Our request here, Chairperson, and recommendation is that the province's response be considered and formally included as part of its report to the National Executive for consideration in terms of subsection 5. Then, Chairperson, moving on to page 14, Chapter 3, Section 14.2.a, and the section is titled Determination of Appropriate Intervention. We would like the entire section to be considered based on the similar remarks that I've just made in relation to Chapter 3, Section 11.3, and that the views of the province should also be considered in this regard. I'd like to then proceed, Chairperson, to page 22, under Chapter 4, Section 36, and the title of this section is Requests by Municipalities in Need of Support. And we'd like to refer to the whole section here, Chairperson. Our submission, Chair, is that we do question why there is no provision for appeal to the Premier and or Minister if the MEC fails to respond within the stipulated time frame as per Section 8.6 with respect to provinces, and additional measures in the case of an application for support being declined as suggested for that section. So perhaps if some clarification can be provided there, that would be appreciated. I will then move on, Chairperson, to page 23, Chapter 4, Section 39. The title of this section is Additional National Support for Municipalities Facing Impending or Actual Non-Fulfillment of Their Executive Obligation. Reference again to the entire section. Our recommendation or submission here, Chairperson, is it should really be clear from the language in the section, Chair, that it is triggered either where the relevant MEC for local government informs the Minister in terms of Section 38.5 that the province does not have the skills, resources, and or capacity to provide a municipality the support contemplated in Section 38.2c, or that the province has failed to take steps to address an impending or actual non-fulfillment of an executive obligation. Subsection 5, Chair, should precede subsection 2, which should be subject to failure or inability to act in terms of subsection 5. Moving on then, Chair, page 24, Chapter 5, Section 40.4. Here, the section is titled Determining Whether Intervention is Appropriate. We would like to reflect on the text that reads as follows. The MEC must provide an opportunity to the relevant municipality to comment on the intended intervention step to be taken by the province. Our submission in this regard, Chairperson, is that in addition to providing an opportunity to the relevant municipality to comment, those views and responses thereto should be included in the report to the Provincial Executive for consideration, should the MEC recommend the approval of a provincial intervention. Moving on then, Chair, to page 26, Chapter 5, Section 44.2. The section is titled Nature of Measures That May Be Implemented. We'd like to focus on the text that reads as follows. The Provincial Executive may, in terms of subsection 1A, designate a district municipality, national department, or national public entity as a consultative mechanism for a municipality only if the district municipality, national department, or national public entity agrees to the designation. Our submission here, Chair, is that we believe it would be appropriate to change the wording national department and national public entity to provincial department and provincial public entity, and that this would be far more relevant within this context. Then moving on, Chair, to page 36, Chapter 5, Section 65.2, and the title of the section is Capacity Building and Transfer of Skills During National or Provincial Intervention. We would like to focus on the section or the text that reflects as follows. The kind of support a province may provide to a municipality in terms of subsection 2 includes additional support referred to in section 39. Our comment here, Chair, is that there seems to be an incorrect reference to subsection 2, and we are of the view it should refer to subsection 5 instead. And so perhaps that is just an error that needs to be reviewed. Proceeding on then, Chair, to page 41, Chapter 7, Section 74.4. The section is titled Offences and Penalties. And the text that we would like to reflect on in the draft bill is as follows. A person who commits an offence in terms of subsection 1, 2, or 3 is liable on conviction to a fine or imprisonment for a period not exceeding 10 years, or to both such a fine and imprisonment. Our submission here, Chair, is that we believe consideration must be given to include an upper limit on the fine value. Then, Chairperson, moving on to page 44, section 2.1.1, the section is titled Objectives of the Bill. And the objectives, Chair, reads as follows. Should the provinces and municipalities require targeted support to fulfill their executive obligations, then support envisioned in this bill must be provided in terms of sections 1253 and 1541 of the Constitution. Targeted support is provided for in the bill is additional to the normal support provided to provinces and municipalities. I won't read further. I just wanted to reflect the section being referred to with the emphasis of targeted support. Our submission here, Chair, is that consideration must be given to clearly defining what targeted support entails, and perhaps it would be useful to have the definition also include examples of that support. Chairperson, that concludes the City of Cape Town's comments to the draft bill. Once again, we are thankful for the opportunity to provide comment on the draft bill, and we trust that the comments will be duly considered. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Alderman Limberg. You posed a question, I think it was on page 25 on your submission, about the issue of the appeal. Why not make the appeal to the Premier in case there's an issue with the MEC? We won't be able to get into that discussion or explanation. If we don't have such a provision in the Act, it becomes a debate. It doesn't quite become an issue that we can clarify. So, nevertheless, we note all the submissions that have been made. Honorable members, the purpose of the sitting here was to allow the stakeholders to make presentation over the submissions that have been tabled to the committee. There is no expectation for the committee to respond or to accept or reject these submissions. We're still in a long journey of taking a lot of hearings from various stakeholders as we process the bill. So from that point of view, the presenters shouldn't leave with an impression that we did not respond to the submissions, because the meeting today was not to debate and respond to those issues, but it was to accept the submission that they've made that will be considered duly as the bill is being processed. It also would be quite a thorough process that will consider some of the issues that are raised are legal issues in nature, others constitutional, others are administrative processes, others are just experience from practical challenges that we have experienced before. So they won't be processed in this session. They'll be processed once everything has been submitted, and we have to go through each one of those and consider which ones have to be incorporated in the bill, and we'll have to find a way to explain that. Having said so, though, we want to give the opportunity to the members to ask questions or make comments on these matters, but those comments and questions on their own do not constitute a judgment call over the submissions. So whatever we say, that's not the end of the submissions. Whatever we didn't say doesn't mean that there's not been any consideration or there shall not be any consideration on these submissions that we have made. I do want us to clarify that so that we should not leave here with a misinterpretation of what happened. We were not going to make a decision or a judgment call on all these submissions as of today. I open up to the honorable members if they would like to make comments or even clarification.
Chair, I'm trying to put up my hand, but I can't find it on my screen now. Can I just ask a question of? Thank you very much. Thank you very much for all the presentations. I just want to ask a question of clarity to the presenter of the City of Cape Town on the expectations that's becoming more demanding and might have a budgetary or might become a budgetary burden. Does the city, for instance, have a clear idea? And I know that if you give us the answer, it doesn't imply to all other municipalities, because in our endeavors we will have to look to see what it will be on all the other municipalities, because there's different, it's metros and districts and local government. But do you have an indication of, just for this bill, the budgetary requirements or the system customization? What would be the budget implication for a metro like the City of Cape Town, if you have it? Thank you.
City of Cape Town, you may respond.
Thank you, Chairperson, and thank you to Honourable Labuskaghni. I do not have the cost on hand, but if it is in order with you, Chairperson, and if the committee requests, we could provide the portfolio committee with the detail, just based on the City of Cape Town's costing, just so that the committee has an understanding of the kind of figures that we're talking about.
Thank you. That's fine, Alderman Limburg. Are there any other? Yes, Labuskachnet, do you want to come back? Are you fine?
No, thank you, Chair. That's fine. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other members wish to raise any questions of clarity? All right. Well, I think it remains for me to say thank you to all the presenters. Your submissions are fairly clear. It's not so much a matter of them being misunderstood. It's a matter of how these can contribute in strengthening the bill and how these will help in strengthening the processes of monitoring interventions. What is nice about this is that we have been through, I think one of the presenters here, maybe a couple of them have referred to the fact that it's clarifying an area where there was always a bit of a misunderstanding. And it's not unexpected that there should be a misunderstanding because it ultimately comes to an interface between the powers of different spheres, which in any case will result in contestation or in uncertainty as to who should play which role. And in particular, and I think many of you have reflected to this effect, the question of the financial burden that's associated with the interventions becomes an issue. And again, a number of other issues. To what extent does each sphere interfere or intervene at another level? The area of the suspension of officials has obviously raised a lot of interest. The other area of defining, for sure, the duration, the modalities of the interventions. These have been the issues at the back, which also have plagued the committee when we raise these issues to say we need this matter to be refined and clarified. We also don't believe that because it's a new system, that we will be able to close all the loops. But certainly with the experience we have had now in intergovernmental relations and trying to ensure that there's cooperative governance, it has become important for us to utilize our experiences in the various instances of interventions to try and make sure that if there's an intervention, it must have effect. There's been a number of instances where we observed that municipalities have had interventions, but they never really got out of the problems of dysfunctionality. In some instances, they relapsed. In some instances, they've had several interventions without any serious effect. And the question is whether was the support poor, was it misdirected, was it badly executed? Is there something intrinsic in the management or in the structure of the municipality that makes it difficult for it to recover from dysfunctionality, irrespective of the caliber of the administrators that are deployed into that area? Should it be one man? Should it be one team, one person? Should it be a whole team? What kind of a team? In some instances, there's a debate about whether the intervention should be referred to Treasury or should it be referred to the MEC for local government. All of these issues that you have raised, basically, to us, they indicate that you understand exactly the dynamics in this whole matter. And these dynamics will not be easy to resolve, but we'll have to work together to try and practice out of what we've seen being successful and on and create a dispensation where interventions are timeliness, they're well monitored, they're effective, and they also do not raise the controversy of the usurping of powers and also the domination of one sphere or another, or poor cooperation, resistance. All of these issues are what we're trying to cure. So because of these interventions, because of these suggestions that we've made, we believe that we'll refine the approach to intervention in a manner that will make the bill more effective in dealing with the problems of support, of intervention, of complementing the municipality where it is short, whether it's on general management, service delivery, financial management, all of these areas which we normally would monitor. We need to then be able to say, how do we intervene on time and effectively so that service delivery is not compromised, but also to monitor, intervene before service delivery is compromised. So these suggestions, all of you that you have made suggestions, interesting, coming from municipal management, provincial leadership, civil society, contribution, and the Chapter 9 institutions contribution. I think that really creates a very wide range of rich contributions that will help the processing of the bill as we go forward. So I want to then take this opportunity to thank you all for your contributions. We will be proceeding with the management, with the processing of the bill. At this point, we're just at the beginning. So we want to say thank you very much. You will therefore be excused at this point. I'd like the members of the committee to stay back so that we can finish off other matters of the committee. But to all the delegations that came to make presentations, you are at this point excused, and thank you very much. Have a lovely day. Thank you. Bye-bye. In the meantime,
thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you very much. Let me acknowledge the presence of the Honorable Deputy Minister Masimula. I'm sorry I didn't acknowledge you when we started. I noticed that you had been part of this meeting from the start. Thank you very much for that contribution, for your contributions as well. It's important to note all this because we'll be together with the department as we try and clean them up as the time goes on. So thank you very much. In terms of our agenda, we should have come to the end of it. Shireen? Okay. Are there any issues that the committee members would like to table? And also, Shireen, you also need to prepare for indicating where do we go as a committee next week, the next few weeks. But let's focus on the issues of the committee now. We have asked that all the various presenters, they are excused at this point. Sharon? Okay, honorable members, any other comments? Honorable Labuskachne?
Can you hear me? Am I audible now?
Yes, hello? You are.
Okay. Chair, one of the things that I picked up in reading the Western Cape's, all these submissions, but in the Western Cape submission, and the presenter referred to that, but they said they gave input and didn't get feedback from the department on that. Now, I'm not so sure on which stage of the bill they referred to. Was it when the bill was gazetted? And because that's normally the process. And then they didn't give feedback, the department. And then that is the one thing. Was this bill gazetted when we started with the bill in this term of the parliament? I know that this bill is coming a long way. It was gazetted in 2023, I think. And then, my understanding is it should have been revived in this parliament, and it should have been gazetted for the provinces and the public to give input. And that input should have been incorporated by the department in the bill. And then that should be get the certification of the state law advisor and taken to the cabinet and then come to parliament. I just need to know if that process has been followed. And the reason why I'm asking that is it's strange for me to see in all our presentations at the moment, presentations from all the provinces. We normally don't have that kind of presentations when we do, not say that they cannot present, but all the provinces are presenting to us. So I just need some clarity on the procedural situation of this. Thank you.
Shireen, can you clarify the origination of the bill and then the presentation, the submission to provinces and the presentation, because it does sound like we might actually have to call them back again. Shireen?
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, the bill was introduced in this parliament, so it wasn't introduced in the last parliament. It was introduced last year. The process of the department was done prior to the tabling of the bill. So we'll have to find out from the department if with regards to the feedback to provinces. And on the process, we can also speak to Ms. Talana Halley. She is in the meeting from a legal perspective. To my understanding, that provinces is stakeholders. So we're doing stakeholder engagement. So the inputs that was received by provinces, that is why we're having been, because they provided input when we called for written submissions, but we can ask from the legal department if they have a different view. Thank you, Chairperson.
Hi, Tlana.
Morning, Chair. Yes,
Morning.
so these provinces, Shireen is correct. These provinces or these municipalities and provincial governments that are responding to us now are doing it as stakeholders. So they're wearing that hat as stakeholders and they're responding on comments on the bill. But this committee had decided at a previous meeting to still continue with provincial hearings, and adverts will go out, and anyone in those provinces would also then provide input and public during the public hearing stage. And this is normally, it's usually, we have this sort of thing happen at most of when it's public participation for most bills. We also have, interesting enough, we have political parties as submitters often. So you'll have like the ANC as a submitter, not as, as a party within the committee itself. So this is very normal, and it's entirely procedurally correct.
Honorable Labuskaghni, are you comfortable with that?
Yes, I'm comfortable with the responses from Shireen as well as Mrs. Halley. because actually the responses that I request is actually not from them, but from the department who are not here. And the reason for that, Chair, is the following. In the submission by the Western Cape, in the first paragraph, I read, in the absence of a comments and response report on the comments that were submitted on the draft bill gazetted by the department in 2023, it is not clear whether the concerns raised have been adequately considered or addressed, and if not, the reasons for that. So my curiosity and the reason why I ask is can only be provided by the department themselves. As Shireen actually said, because prior to the tabling of the bill, the processes, and we all know that you move from, if it's a new bill, from the white paper to putting together your bill, and if it's not a white paper, from the existing legislation, take that and say we revise that, and you put out the things that you need to revise, and you put it out. The department put that out to the provinces prior to coming to Parliament, because it's two different processes. When that bills go to the provinces, they have a thing that they call the cabinet. It's going to all the premiers and all the provinces, and municipalities give some input into that. And then they go feedback and say, okay, these are not the same, more or less the same process that we're following, and say the reasons why it cannot be submitted and so on. And then after all that process, the bill is again published and then taken to Parliament. Now, that is a procedural issue. And I do understand that provinces always stay stakeholders and municipalities and even parties. I don't dispute that. I just need to know procedurally if we put all these work into this bill, and someone comes on a procedural issue and take this bill to court, I'm going to cry for all the work that we've gone in here. If we could have prevented it. So for me, it's just. We need to get clarity on this so that nobody can dispute the procedural issues or possible procedural issues. Thank you.
We understand your point clearly, but Shireen is saying that process happened with the department prior to the bill being tabled with us. So we might have the concern, but we may not be able to cure that as we sit here. I'm not sure at which point, let's say all we can do is to bring this matter to the attention of the department to say there was this concern, but that's on its own. The issue is that the bus has really left the departmental station. And so we are here now. So what people might want to do with that query might be something. They could ask the question directly themselves, or we could ask it out of curiosity from our side. But even if there was something not done at that level, it's not something that the committee can cure. So I think the responses we're giving was more about our processes as we move forward. But let's talk about send the query to the department. I think for our purposes, it will be more academic at this point, because whatever we ask them, we can't ask them to take the bill back to go and do fix what they didn't attend to. But anyway, now that you've pointed it out, we want to request Shireen to just send it back to the department that there is a query of this nature, but it doesn't affect our process as we speak. Tilana, I see you've got your hand up.
Chair, you actually covered me. I wanted to suggest that Shireen possibly write to Kevin Naidu from the department, and that Kevin provide us with that clarity. But I do know that Sisa Makabeni from Oxla has certified the bill for its constitutionality and its procedural correctness. But we can confirm this with the department.
Chairperson, it seems as if the chairperson is. We can't hear the chairperson. Chairperson?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm muted. Oh my goodness, I've said so much. I've said a lot. Sorry. Okay, firstly, we acknowledge what Honorable Francine has said. She said, I think we need a timeline from the department, which must come to us formally. When the bill was introduced and gazetted, according to our knowledge, it was done 2023. Then it lapsed. When the 7th administration came in, was it gazetted again? And I'm saying that Shireen must send that request to the department so we can know in terms of those timelines. Then you can also raise the issue that came from the City of Cape Town. That question is of academic nature to us. We can't help them if they messed it up, and we can't correct it. We can't send it back. So it will just be a matter of information because it was raised in our meeting. But it's not our issue, actually. It's an issue of the department. Nevertheless, we'll take the matter from here and make those take those that report as we go forward. So I should say, from the point of view of what the City of Cape Town raised, we can't cure it. We can just be curious about what happened, and then we move on. I think what will also be useful is to Shireen to help us to put up all the timelines going forward. What are the activities, when and how? Let's put all of that up because we've started this. Yesterday we were in the meeting of chairpersons. This was 2 days ago. There's been a strong emphasis on committees having to concentrate quite a bit on the processing of bills. Yes, we have got so many things, we've got so many visits abroad, so many oversights, activities, but can we deal with the bills as quickly as we can and put as much emphasis on the bills and try and make sure that they are attended to with the necessary efficiency so that we don't get comebacks on the bills. So there's been a very strong emphasis from the Speaker and from the Chair of Chairs on that matter. So Shireen, you'll have to table for us to see where are we on this, on the process of this bill going forward. Any other comments? All right. What have you got right now, Shireen? Do you have a sense of where we are next week, following week?
Yes, Chairperson, I will just share the draft program. And Chairperson, then we also do have the report of the determination of the remuneration of the CRL commissioners that was referred to us. So we'll have to look at that. I'll quickly flag all those.
Yeah, let's look at the program, what you've got, and then you'll talk to issues as they appear on the program. Okay, take us through then. We've just done the first top one. Next week.
Thank you, Chairperson. So for Tuesday, we're looking at the briefing from the Auditor General on the water sector report. That briefing we postponed earlier because we decided that we're going to be doing the municipalities, so we'll be getting that briefing, and then we'll be getting a progress report from the Free State Provincial Executive on the recommendations that was made in the joint oversight in Free State. So that is for Tuesday. And then for Wednesday, we'll have the continuation of the stakeholder engagement on the bill. This is the outstanding stakeholders that we received written submissions from. Thank you, Chair. That is on the program.
Okay, can I check why you have a short day for Tuesday when we're going to talk to the Free State? Are you that optimistic that they'll get everything 100% and so there's no need to ask them one single question? I mean, we've just seen a scenario here of the invasion of the Maluti Apofung council sitting, a mayor being thrown out. We've got a constitutional court, we've got a Supreme Court judgment on Ngwate, which suggests, dissolution. We've got the issues of Machabeng. We've had others that we were having a lot of curiosity about. Ketwana, Maslonyana, Mafube, what has happened since we have been there? Did they comply with AG's report and all of that? So just as I'm sitting on my own here, I don't see that time being adequate. So you've got the Auditor General. Okay, water services sector report, it's fine, but just to get the presentation is an hour. To get us to comment about that is another hour and something. And so we're going to get the Free State to just come in and greet and walk back. Looks to me, unless we extend the thing to take the whole day. After all, it's a committee week, isn't it? So we can
Recording
be here till the
stopped.
whole afternoon. Just provide lunch, everyone provide lunch, and we proceed. Anyway, let me leave it for the members to comment.
Chairperson, initially when we put it on the program, there was going to be sitting. So you're correct. It is committee week next week, so we can use the entire day. We had initially put it on as a virtual meeting, so I'm not sure if Chairperson can clarify.
No, I'm not there yet. I'm still on the column of time. Whether we're talking virtually or in person, the time is little. It's inadequate. But let me leave with the members to comment. I think we need a full day there. And whether we stick to virtual or get a meeting in person is up to the members. My suggestion would be we keep it virtual because, firstly, it's a very difficult time of the month. Literally, others are already packing their bags going to the Easter pilgrimages. And so that might just be a bit tricky. But I'm just saying that 1 o'clock is too soon to deal with Free State and finish.
Yeah.
Yes, I can see.
Chair, I hear your what you say, and part of me agrees with it. But we are going to have the executive, the provincial executive, with us on the recommendations of the joint oversight. So they have to give us feedback on whether they implement it, and if not, and how far, and if why, and the results of the implementation. And if they didn't implement it, that we won't have the municipalities in front of us. My proposal would be that we, and I hear about people going on pilgrimages and so on. First of all, we have to make sure that we have a quorum to continue after 1 o'clock, let's say until 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock. And then, I'm just worried about the connectivity and the people that need to be, available on Zoom, because previously we also had problems with connectivity, but then that was also when we had different municipalities. This time, according to the program, we are dealing with the provincial executive, so I don't think the connectivity would be that sort of a problem. But from my side, I don't have a problem if we continue longer than 1 o'clock, because there's no other activities scheduled, but the rest of the committee must give their input.
There's another issue, and I'd like to get the honorable members to comment about. If we swapped the two, instead of doing the Free State, we do all the stakeholders, because they'll present. You give them 10 minutes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's about 1.5 hours of presentations. There's not a lot of commentary from the members. You could accommodate and fit that one on next week. then you push the Free State to the 1st instead, and then you spend the whole day there, then you can prepare. I'm not convinced as well that you can just sit with the Premier and the MECs and leave the municipalities, because if something is said and we've got the report, we should be able to call that municipality and say, Mayor, please respond to this. What have you done here? We see this, that, and the other. I'm not too sure. But anyway, members can comment. Honorable Mtolo?
Oh, thank you, Chair. No, Chair, I totally agree with you. 9 to 1 o'clock is not enough. So, and I also agree with your suggestions for Wednesday, if possible. But 9 to 1, really, Chair, it's not going to be possible for us to conclude these issues regarding the state. Thank you, Chair.
Can we ask Sharon to explore the possibility of swapping this? We ask all these presenters to come in earlier on next week on Tuesday, and then we can swap the others. I see that the legal team would like to be excused.
Thank you, Chair.
You are excused, and so thank you very much for your contribution. At this point, we're just doing housekeeping stuff for the committee, so we don't need the other members to stay on. That's why I released everybody. So you are excused now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Honorable Labuskaghni, I see you've got your disclaimer for the first, but we'll have finished by the time you leave. But anyway, come in and comment. Other members, we're going to decide now.
No, that I just wanted to say, Chair, I don't have a problem with the swapping the program, but if we have to continue after 4:30, I wouldn't be able to attend. But yeah, it's fine with me.
Okay, then you'll tell us your favorite municipalities. We'll put them in the front row, and after you have done your shooting, then we can leave you to go. Then other members, Shirin, can you look into this matter? Bring all the stakeholders next week. We finish with them. Then we take the Free State to the following week. Shirin.
Chairperson, yes, I'm here. Are we agreeing that we do the stakeholders and EXO on the Tuesday and then the provincial executive on the Wednesday?
Yes, we do. We do agree to change that. All members are agreeing, those who are here.
We will communicate with everybody, and then we'll give feedback to the committee by the end of the day, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. Okay, then I think that covers us for the next week and the other week. Any other issues, members?
Yes, Chair.
Yes.
Chair, I think we should have a little bit of a discussion about the first week of the second term, because we start off now with on the program it says
recording in progress.
It says it's committee oversight weeks, that week from the 20th and the week following that. But the latest program, parliamentary program, gives us a plenary, I think with a 3-line whip on the 21st of April, that is the Tuesday, and then the rest of the week, which is then Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday for committee oversight, and then the following week as well as committee oversight. But in that week, the Monday and the Friday both are public holidays. So both weeks I only have 3 days for committee oversight. And we also know that we have this thing in Parliament that week 1, that we are in 2 groups, Category A and Category B, for the committees that can visit in first week or second week. My question is, do we have an idea of what our oversight week will be, or do we still have to decide? Because it's, I think it's very difficult for the administration staff or the secretary and all those to sort of determine if we're going somewhere, is everyone coming from and going to while we are on constituency time?
I think you can guide, Shireen, what we have here. Firstly, for the Free State, we should invite at least the mayor, speaker, MM, and CFO to join us on the line, so that if there are issues to raise, we can ask each one of them to talk about what they've done since we've been, and that we must have the report on time. That would be one. And then secondly, as much as possible of what we can do on oversight, let's do as much of it virtually. So you need to just indicate what are the issues that we had said we need to prioritize, because we could then use that space instead of looking at something that's going to yank people from where they are. People can operate from where they are if we can connect virtually. And then on the 21st, we're doing the report on Denmark. We're going to be in person in the Dome. And so let's look at that. We've got a few municipalities that we're supposed to talk to, which ones we can handle online, which ones we need to handle in person. So put all of that together so that you can share. And if need be, let's share as a committee, just through the group, and firm up what we think will work, and then we are clear for the next 3 or 4 weeks where we are. Then we don't have the confusion that members are complaining about. Shireen?
Yes, Chairperson, you're correct. In the programming committee yesterday, it was said that on the 21st of April will now be a plenary, and that our report will be on the plenary agenda for the day. They also said that on the 22nd of April, there will be a chair of chairs meeting. So if we look at those dates to have meetings, they also said that in that week, we can't have oversight. It's only going to be committees, so they're not going to allow committees to actually go on oversight. So those 2 days will be used as committees can do the legislation and other briefings, but won't be allowed to go to oversight. And on the Friday, there is training for members that they would want all members to attend. The following week, there is oversight. But as Chairperson said, we looking at municipalities that we need to call back. So by our next meeting, we will have a draft program for next term. Thank you, members.
Okay, thank you very much. Can we leave it at that, honorable members? As soon as the draft program is ready, we should look at it, comment, and try and firm it up. Then we've got a sense of the next couple of weeks' schedule. Okay, thank you very much. Then may I then request that we bring this meeting to closure. Thanks to all the members who are here. Thanks for your contributions. We wish you everything of the best. Meet next Tuesday. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much. Meeting is adjourned. Have a lovely day.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.